Hello, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again for another Japanese Dreamcast pickups video. Today I'm going to show off the games that I picked up recently. For starters, we have Aoi Hagane no Kihei, Space Griffon. And this appears to be a remake of a game that came out on the PlayStation called Space Griffon VF9. And this was actually released in the US by Atlas. It looks like it was localized for the PlayStation, a very early PlayStation game. But this is a remake on the Dreamcast, and it looks really neat.
In the year 2148 AD, October 17th, all communications with the moon's largest man-made structure, Hamlet, were lost.
So English speakers are treated to a very cool, fully voiced English intro to this game. So they go on. It's much longer than what I showed here, and we're also treated to kind of some nice cutscene sequences earlier there with the little talking heads, like we have here. It seems like a significant improvement, just kind of aesthetically, over the previous game. She's like, the security system is working against us. Like, what's going on? So you can see here we're moving through a 3D space, and we're in a big mech thing, and we have a map on the top, and this just has a really cool feeling of exploring some sort of hostile outer space station that was supposed to have people in it and all kinds of stuff going on, and we lost contact, and now the security system is going against us, and we don't see any people so far, so seems like an exciting game. Next up we have Yume no Tsubasa, which is something like Wings of Dream. This is developed by Kid, and this is a bit more along the lines of the kind of game that I expect to see from Kid, so let's take a look. So here you can see we have a flashback sequence in this sketch sort of style that we've seen in a similar game that's Sora wo Mao Tsubasa, which we saw in my second Japanese Dreamcast pickups video. So here we're getting the same sort of experience that the Japanese player would. There's no text here. This is just some images. We see what looks like probably you and your sister, or maybe a childhood friend, and what I assume is your dad flying off in a plane. That's pretty much all the explanation that we get. Next we have this ultralight plane here that we're gonna actually get in and try to fly, and we have some engine troubles, so it's kind of this almost sort of exciting, tense, and it almost feels like an action sequence here at the beginning of this this visual novel game. I think it's kind of unique. So you're like, stop, stop, stop. So you manage to land the plane successfully, and then you're like, wait a second. It's like, what's that? Huh? And it's clouded over. It's starting to get rainy, and you've actually brought the plane in. But you see, like, it looks like a girl has fallen, and you're like, what's going on? I don't know if the implication is something weird, like she fell from the sky, or she just collapsed. But we can go to investigate, and this game, has some choices, like these games tend to. So here, this first choice is, well, let's try waking her up for now, or you can wait for a little bit to see if she regains consciousness. So let's go ahead and try waking her up. And that actually didn't work, but we've picked her up and brought her back to our place. And so, we're in kind of a situation here. This girl might be hurt, she's unconscious, she's soaking wet, so interesting introduction to this visual novel game. Next up is another in the Simple 2000 series. This is actually volume 4 of 4 on the in the Simple 2000 series on the Dreamcast. We've already covered 1 and 2, and I have 3 on the way, so we should see that pretty soon. But this is Okaeri, again published by D3 and developed by Hunex. So this is a long time ago. Kind of sets the tone for this this really, I don't know what to call it. It's a little bit melancholy, sort of slow-paced story game here that we have so far, and really this font is just extremely hard for me to read, so even when I just tried playing this, I just didn't even bother. I mean, there's an island, there's some woman, I don't know, maybe that was your mom, there's some blue flower, and so it starts off here with us on a ferry, and you know, it's something like, I raise my eyes from the pamphlet in my hand, obviously to see this island that you're on the way to. He's like, huh? So you notice this girl who looks like she's reading a letter. And this was actually a really long introductory sequence here, but I kind of liked it. You know, I followed along with it pretty well, and it had kind of a nice flow to it. It sort of set the mood. I actually kind of relaxed into it. And for the record, Okaeri means like welcome back. So we're actually coming back to this island. This is an island where we had grown up, it sounds like. I don't know if we were born here and then we moved, or how that worked, but so this girl, she suddenly starts like tearing up this letter and just, you know, scatters it to the wind. So she notices you watching her, and you can choose to like smile and talk to her or not, but this looks like a pretty cool game. I'm excited to play some more. Next up, we have Super Producers. This is published by Hudson, who we all know and love for their partnership with NEC on the PCFX, and just, you know, in general being a big developer of games for a really long time. So as you can see from the intro here, we were born to be a star, or I guess to help other people be stars, because we're going to be a producer. So we're greeted by this strange, sort of androgynous, bobbing 3D head that explains the entire game to us, but it's pretty generous with its tutorial-style information. So essentially this is a simulation game where we sort of go through the process of choosing talent to foster, and here we can actually just sort of hear what they have to say. This dude is into the blues, so I guess let's go ahead and see his routine here as he gets down to the blues. So yeah, I have to admit this is pretty hokey, all the way from the you know, the dancing to the music. This is kind of like if you just sort of hit the blues demo on your synthesizer here. But you know, I didn't really like that guy, so I went with this girl, I guess. But you know, it's a simulation game. You choose different stuff, and then you kind of hit this proceed button, and it goes through turns where you spend some time doing something like recording songs, or you know, changing how you look. So you know, I really wanted to like this game, but I think it's not looking too good so far. This is Enoli Ryoko, Roommate. This is by Datum Polystar. And they seem to have gotten their start in the Super Famicom, and I believe they're a publisher, and they've published a number of games. This, as far as I know, got its start on the Saturn, and this is a Dreamcast version. I have to assume that this is a remake of the Saturn one, but I'm not sure. Let's take a look. So we start this game out with us being trying to get into college, I believe. We're taking our exams, and we're studying up for that. And looks like we're doing like an online course or something like that. But we're, I guess, renting a house. So here we are in the morning. We're taking the trash out, the burnable trash, I think it is. And he's like, huh? She's saying good morning to him. We run into the neighbor here, and he's like, oh, you know, good morning. It's nice weather, isn't it? So you can see here it's real, like, visual novel style, and I actually really like the art style in this. I don't know what it is about it. Everything in it, it all feels like a little awkward, actually. There's sort of like this meticulous attention to detail, but it all comes off slightly off, but I actually like it. It's sort of endearing. The character artists sort of, you know, they're really into the volume, I think, of the characters, but their characters still come out just a touch flat, and I don't know, it's pretty neat. So anyway, we get a knock at the door, and he's like, "What, am I dreaming?" Like, you know, this, obviously, apparently this cute girl has showed up at his door, and she's like, you know, "Hey, pleased to meet you, I'm Inoue Ryoko," and he's like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and he's just like, what's going on here? He's like, "Oh, thank goodness, you seem like a nice person. It's like, I heard about you from my dad." So this girl has come back to the house that you're renting, and you're like, "What? Like, why did she come back?" He's like, "Oh, I get it. She's, you know, come back to collect the rent." He's like, "Oh, you know, I'm sorry. Like, you're gonna have to wait just a little bit on the rent for this month." But that wasn't what she was after. Apparently, her family is away in the States, and she doesn't want to be there, so she's come back early. So I guess you're going to be staying with this girl here for the time being. So that's the intro to Inoue Ryoko Roommate. Right on the heels of the last Roommate game, this is another Roommate game by Datum Polystar. This is Roommate novel Sato Yuka. So another Roommate game. This one, obviously, we can see here, has a different art style. And you're like, "Oh, this is, you know, today is like the start of summer vacation, and you know, it's the start of a month alone. Your parents are away, and you're just gonna have the house to yourself for a whole month during summer while you have it off from school." And then this girl shows up at your door, and come to find out she was a childhood friend. And here we have a choice segment here, and she wants to stay over at your place, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know if that's really a good idea. And she's like, it's like, "But your mom said, like, you know, way back, she said I could stay over anytime I wanted to." He's like, "Yeah, that was like a long time ago." So then you have your neighbor friend who like comes over, and she's got all kinds of food for you. I guess she brought over dinner or something like that. But then she finds out some girl is staying over here, and she actually gets pretty upset. So you know, we have a bit of a like a love triangle already kind of starting. You know, there's some jealousy, and this is actually, I think, just a more interesting introduction than the last game. Finally, we have Dancing Blade. This is published and developed by Konami, and apparently this had a PlayStation version, so this, I would say, is technically a PlayStation port. So let's see what this looks like on the Dreamcast. So this is a FMV game, and it plays just like a kind of a choose-your-own-adventure. So I was actually pretty excited about this. I've heard some pretty good things about it online. People seem to be pretty happy with it. I have to admit, from what I've played just at the start here, I wasn't as excited about it as I was hoping. But you know, she's like, "All right, let's go," and apparently her stomach is not agreeing with her, so you'd figure these people would have thought to have breakfast before they were all going to head out on, you know, a journey or something. But she's like, "Hey, I saw this place that sells kibi dango," and she's like, "Let's, you know, go get something that better tasting." So you get to make a choice. This is one of our first choices. So we're saying, "Hey, let's go get the kibi dango." So she's like, "Yay, I'll go get it." So yeah, so this is kind of in that choose-your-own-adventure style. You make different choices as you go along, and apparently this game is fairly well regarded, and it's supposed to have multiple endings, and the choices you make a big difference. So it looks kind of cool. That's my pickups. Hope you liked them.